Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of episode 4. As you can see, we've got the man in the hot seat, probably quite literally, as our guest this week, our first team manager, Darren Mullen. Darren, welcome on the podcast, although you might not be saying welcome by the time we finish.
Can't be that bad, lads, can it?
Can't be as bad as the last 4 performances anyway.
No, definitely not.
Well, I mean, I think Ali's got the first question that he just wants to get off his chest.
Yeah, we've had a question from a viewer this week as well, Darren, and it's, how dare you?
That could come from numerous amount of supporters. You normally get that question they got in the bar straight after, go in the door and open the door, you're ready to go in, head all over the show, maybe get me a pint, calm down, and what happened? What do you mean what happened?
And what can you say?
I know exactly what do you mean what happened. We didn't win. What more would you like me to tell you when I'm fuming still within an hour after the game? Move out of the road before I headbutt you.
I think what you need to do if you have another defeat further down the line, you actually just walk in prepared with your whiteboard and the wee counters, and just say, look, everybody gather round and explain this here. Also, could any of the players that are still here, could you look at this if this is what you were
right? That's it. Yeah, just boil them to death. So they'll never ask it again.
Darren, you need to talk to the fans here, because what I hear is the supporters club boss have all chipped in for a plane to fly over Annagh on Friday night with Mullen Out on the back of it.
That'd be funny, wouldn't it? It actually would be funny. I would stand and laugh at that if that actually did happen. That's probably something Darren would do.
Well, see, there's the problem. If you would stand and laugh at that, you need to be concentrating on the game. I think that's where we're going wrong here. You're obviously just taking away off the ball. But anyway, look, we get past all the fun. Time to get serious here. I mean, we'll look at the most recent game first, and then we'll look at the season, put it in context as a whole, because as we said in the first episode, and I'm going to reiterate this, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Get sponsoring, folks. The most recent game, Dundela, 1 each, and when I spoke to you after the match, everybody was frustrated. You were particularly frustrated, and I think the line you said to me was, it's the most frustrating game to watch this season. It was even more so than the Ballymallard game, but that was purely because Ballymallard game we probably just weren't at it from start to finish. We probably outplayed, whereas on Saturday we had possession and didn't do enough with it. Give the ball away, the sort of basics you sort of touched on. Is that sort of having a couple of days maybe to calm down? Have you changed your view on that? I mean, have you put it in the sort of context of how the season's been going, or do you still have the same view?
No, I think the first 2 words to you were brutal and terrible.
Pretty much.
And then I thought,
maybe a swear word in there as well.
Yeah, it might have been alright. And Sunday night or yesterday morning, it was a case of maybe it was a bit harsh. And then I watched the game back today, and no, I would not change those first 2 words. It was brutal and it was terrible. So, no, it was a hard watch.
What was so bad in your opinion about the game?
Very lethargic. Lacked energy. We had our game plan. We knew how Dundela were going to play in the shape and what it would be about, and they didn't. They didn't change anything. It was up to us to go and break them down, and we had opportunities to do that and didn't do it. So that's the most frustrating thing. It was very lacklustre, not like us at all. And my annoyance is that having been here before and involved, every point's important.
Mm-hmm.
When you realise, look, this could be the game that you might look back on or whatever. So when you're dropping 2 points like that, there is a huge sense of frustration. So that was my annoyance on Saturday. We didn't do ourselves justice at all. It was a poor performance all round, and yes, we had chances earlier on and we looked the most likely to go on and win the game, but you couldn't really argue with the draw at the end. They deserved something out of it. We didn't do enough to win it.
We touched on probably in the first part before you arrived, and Philly won't like me reminding them of this, but the chance Philly only has, it's 0-0. As I said after the game, 99 times out of 106 up in the back of the net. But now I said we've noticed his ball mark. I think of it here, just sitting right behind it. Is it cliche to say that ball goes in the back of the net and you could end up winning 3-0 and maybe still not have played well and you still having your frustrations afterwards, or was it always going to be a day like that, even if that one had gone in?
It's hard to tell. Like if you go and score that, it gives you maybe a bit of confidence and a bit of a lift that to go on and win it, because it did look like one of those days that nothing was going right for us. Definitely after that chance you thought, this isn't going to go right at all. We just needed to stick at it. We were poor for their goal, didn't track the runners. There was a gap between the left back and the centre back. So there's things we need to work on, and I was extremely angry in the change rooms after it. It's not too often I am like that. Everybody's different. I just believe if you're constantly shouting, players will switch off. It's like shouting at the kids at home. They they'll not listen after a while. But if you're doing it, once in a while, it has more of an impact. So, and it's not staged. I was really annoyed on Saturday. I let loose in the change rooms after it, and we spoke about it last night at training, just to explain my frustration. But the players have the same frustration as well. They know it's not good enough. For me, we have a squad that's good enough to go and win a league title. I would say there are 5 or 6 other managers, have rightly the same opinion. Yeah. But it's just going and doing ourselves justice. And if you're not doing yourself justice, which we didn't do on Saturday, that's a huge sense of frustration, because it's only when you're older you realise how quickly your career goes, and you have a window of trying to get to the pinnacle of Irish League football, and that's a frustrating thing. Performances like that won't get you anywhere near it.
Before we look at obviously the match on Friday night against Annagh, if you put the season in context, we started off like a house on fire. 6 wins out of 6, and everything rosy. And yes, there were maybe the odd sort of maybe telltale signs sort of against Queens where we sort of dug that one out. But when you're winning games, you tend to go, "Oh, we found another way to win," as opposed to, "Oh, we're lucky there."
Yeah.
Because everything's sort of going well. You tend to look at the positives of it. Is it important then not to get sort of too bogged down in the negativity, if you like? Supporters are always going to go, "Oh, it's crap, oh, it's rubbish, oh, it's, blah blah blah." It's obviously hugely important that yourself, the coaching staff, and the players don't sort of buy into that. As long as you're putting the effort in, then the results will come back.
Yeah, great start of the season. Played really well and looked the part. Nobody getting carried away apart from Ali.
We'll touch on that in a minute.
Within that, we certainly weren't. You could see people saying, "Oh, you're this or that." I knew too much experience, especially in this league, to know how nobody runs away with it in this league. It's a difficult league.
Somebody's shifting comfortably in his seat there.
And you knew there was going to be a blip, and you see even the results every week. They're always mad switch results. So it's putting it into perspective. Extremely annoyed on Saturday and Sunday. But you have to get over that pretty quick. That's difficult to do as a manager, to be honest. But you have to turn that around pretty quick. There's no point me coming in last night to training with a big face some way, the coaching staff, whatever. Our training is always good, and it's there's a good atmosphere about the place. So we had to lift that pretty quick. So we had a quick meeting before we started training, just to explain to everybody, and training went all as normal then. So no, there's no dwelling on it. You have to put it behind you. Whatever annoyance we had is gone from Saturday, and the great thing with football is you have another chance to put it right. So it's big focus now on Friday night.
Is there a slight annoyance, Darren? I know, because we started off so well with the 6 games and we had a 5-point lead. That 5-point lead, even though it's early in the season, has slipped. Is it kind of like, well, the work that you did put in early, has it really been worth it?
Yeah, you can look at it like that, all right. The flip side of it is, if you had to start off with 2 defeats and a draw, and then you're going with those 6 wins, and you're sitting where you are thinking, this is,
that's a different mentality.
Yeah, but it's just, you're right. It's the manner of recent results, and I'd say again, Ballymallard deserved nothing. Ballyclare deserved. I'd say we deserved a draw. Last week there against Dundalk, probably draw at would have been the right enough result. So I think when you look back at Derby, a really good performance against Derby, and Tommy scored two screamers within that. And I'm not one for making big excuse. I mean, we were missing at 1.5 or 6, and Tommy and Jimmy. And if you look even at the I think it was the Whalers game, the 2 lads had scored when they're running from midfield, and they have that energy and they're on top of their game, and you take them out of it. That's a big impact, in terms of taking the play from midfield right up at the top of the pitch. So you definitely missed those 2 lads. So once we get everybody back, we'll be fine. Doesn't excuse the others that are in, replacing. It's up to someone else to come in and improve that they're fit and capable to take their place. So the challenge is there for everybody. It's a long season. You'll have good weeks and bad weeks. That's just the nature of football.
And at the end of the day, where we are now is like, it's only 3 bad games, and we got a point from them, so it's not the end of the world. When you look back on it, it's only 3 games. Should we turn it around on Friday? Yeah, well,
you have to turn around pretty quick. You can't, you can't run like this the minute. You can't let it go too long. So I was still disappointed with the draw on Saturday. To be honest, still felt like a defeat at the end of the game, and I'd said that day. So we need to start winning games, because other teams will win a game. It's alright saying, such and such only drew or didn't get beat. You can't be relying on other teams, so we have to start winning our games. But it'll be tight the whole way through. Don't think anybody run away with it, and that's what makes this league exciting.
I mean, looking at the Annagh game, I mean, obviously I think it's only Annagh and Loughgall who still have to play this season, and they're also their next 2 games. Annagh obviously played them relatively recently in the Ulster Cup over Christmas, and while that wasn't a particularly good performance from us that night, it was a lively game. They looked very good. They were pacey. They were well organised. They were niggly, you know, in their home pitch, which is a tight pitch. It's a good service, but it's a tight pitch. I mean, they probably strengthened. They have strengthened since then, and they're doing really well in the league. I mean, we touched on in the first part of this week's episode where obviously a massive confidence boost if he can get 3 points, if he can get back to winning ways, but particularly against a team that's up there challenging, you know, with the greatest respect to teams down the bottom, you know, that would give you even more confidence. I mean, do you sort of stress that to the players going, you know, 3 points is 3 points, but this could really get into the heads of the players and go on another run?
To an extent, but the players should know the importance of it without us. You know, they can see, you know, the league table and they can see the importance of it.
Some of them probably can't work the internet, so they probably haven't seen the league table. You know.
Fair enough comment. Yeah, for some, all right.
No names.
Yeah, but look, every game's important, you know, and yes, it's not we're saying that this is more important than whatever. It's just it honestly just is the next game, and we have to go and win it. Yes, we played them before down there. And they have strengthened. We'll be a completely different team in terms of personnel as well from that game. I've been watching their footage from their recent games between yesterday and this morning. So they've been doing well this year, and it'll undoubtedly be a difficult game, especially down there. So it's only look forward to. You know, I always look forward to the games. You know, because the disappointment of Saturday. The only way you can fix that is by another game. So the whole excitement of it. Now during the game, ask any manager, they didn't really enjoy an awful lot of the game. It's very hard to enjoy it because you're wrapped up in all sorts of emotions. You know, if you win, it's great. And this expression, you don't get too high and don't get too low. It's very easy not to get too high. I never get carried away. I don't ever get carried away. You know, it's the end of the season. Whenever and you've won something or you've done something, then you can get carried away. Mm-hmm. But the opposite side of that, it's very hard not to get too low. Because you're as a manager, you're taking the brunt of it. You know, you're questioning yourself. Even Saturday, you know, it's for me. It's I take the fault for any poor performance. It's me that puts a team out. You know, it's me that brings the players in. So I have no issue taking responsibility for that. But you do end up beating yourself up a lot for it. I would do that, and even speaking to other managers, should it be in games or in courses or whatever. That's the one thing that is difficult being a manager.
From that perspective, and I was thinking about this after you said it twice actually when we interviewed you on Saturday after the game. You said, you know, as a manager you take responsibility, and yes, the buck stops with the manager. But at the end of the day, you know, if you've sort of set your 11 players out and they go out and they don't do their jobs, you know, to the best of their ability, you know, and we can all have off days and all the rest of it. But how much responsibility, you know, needs to be sort of given the players as well, because you know they'll take the credit whenever you go and win games. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's not like a turn and go, it's all their fault. But I mean, you know, when a bad performance, I mean, I'm sure a lot of experienced players in there that know that they have to take their own responsibility in terms of how they perform within the team. You'll
deal with that in the change rooms and a training. You know, it's not as if you're not giving out a few harsh words, but that's behind closed doors. You know, I've never been one for coming out
for a podcast.
No,
you wouldn't come out to the reporter after the game and blast them.
No, and it's not for. Look, maybe I have done it before. I'm not sure. Maybe if you're not mad, you've done that. But I don't like pinpointing anybody. You know, players don't, you know, maybe miss chances or whatever it might be on purpose. Yeah. You know, if someone's not trying harder, they just don't play. That's, you know, that's the long and short. They make it some sort of a bollocking from me after. Am I allowed to say bollocking?
Yes, you are.
In the BBC.
It's an adult podcast.
I just got sacked for that.
I know, I remember you did apologise for that, and I was looking around. Did somebody shout something below? And I was like, is it me? Yeah, it is you. Sorry about that. But you'll deal with it in the change rooms. You know, or should it be at training and people are held accountable. Now I'll have maybe heated words with someone, but that's it done. Then you get your message across and you give a player an opportunity to get his response, and if need be, in the right manner and at the right time. But after that, it's gone.
Well, you said this a few weeks ago, just on something separate that we were doing, but you had said the championship squad that got promoted a few years ago was the best squad that you've had, you know, and then now you've got this team here who are up there with that. But how difficult is it for you this season to kind of manage all those personalities, because there's probably more competition than ever for places? there's probably a higher quality than ever. So how do you how do you tell people who are maybe starting last season that they're going to have to sit and wait their turn this year and keep them happy?
I think if you're honest with them and people can see that everybody's getting a fair chance, that it's the same rules for everybody. Like this season, it's, if you're missing training or game, whatever, you haven't been coming in and automatically starting. Same even with Ryan. Last week, Ryan, obviously having a kid and missing training, didn't play on Saturday, and someone comes in and does well. Now, if someone comes in and doesn't do well, then another player who's been out might well can come back in. But as long as you're honest, if you don't play, or if you're dropped for whatever reason, then I'll have a chat with them and explain to them why they're not playing or what they need to work on. They mightn't like it or but that's my opinion. Why they're not didn't play well enough last week. I'd rather have him in for this game, or you're picking a different formation or a different player for this game. So if you're honest with them, that's fair enough. And at the time you can see they're not happy, but I think when the dust settles, fair enough, he's the manager, it's his opinion.
But does it ever get awkward with players? Is it hard to get it across to some people?
It's been that's the hardest part of managing. Should it be telling people you're not playing, or you feel maybe they've nothing to offer anymore in terms of thing, or you're going to go with someone else. Over the years should have been Mully or Timmy Grant or Chris Mann, people that have done really well for you, and you're thinking, look, I can't guarantee you regular football here. That's difficult for them to hear. It's a different conversation, but you can't play your 11 if you're your best mates. You have to be objective about the thing, and you would take a step back and say, look, okay, even when we're picking the team for Friday night, who's the best player for this position? And you're making difficult decisions. If it was easy, anybody would do it. That's the thing. Management is not easy. It's not an easy task for anybody. It's not something I'd recommend to anybody for your health, or popularity at times, because it is a difficult job, and you do have to make difficult decisions. But I think as long as you're honest, then you should do all right. So
sorry, what's the percentage then to actually managing the football team to managing the players? Like, how does it work out for you?
When you term like the psychology in terms of tactics, that
well, I mean, obviously you have to do the football side of things, but
yes.
How much of your job comes down to dealing with players on a weekly basis and then dealing with the team? How does that work out?
You're dealing with that because I'm sure it's the same for all managers. You're dealing with players outside of football as well, especially nowadays. And we had a chat even last week about it, about the mental health. And everything, sometimes players do need to have a chat away from football about their private lives. I'm not a social worker or a psychologist or whatever. I never claim to be, but sometimes they might just need an ear or whatever. So you'll have conversations with players away from the football end of it, and you keep in touch with them. But there's a lot of your role as a manager is the psychology end of it, and having conversations with players, maybe pulling them out of training and having a chat with them how they're getting on, or what they didn't do on Saturday, or what you expect for this weekend coming. So there's a lot of that. I don't think even it's difficult when you're part-time football and you have 2 nights a week to get that time to do that. You have the full-time managers and they can sit and have a chat, cup of tea at training ground or whatever, and with their players. When you haven't got it here, you have lads that are rushing into training and then going home. It's difficult to get it, but you try and make that wee bit of time to ask them how they're getting on and have that sort of a chat with them, because I think it's important to have a wee bit of a personal touch with them and find out how they're getting on. But yeah, there is a lot of it away from the tactical end of it that you'll do as a manager.
Looking just sort of back to the football aspect of it, I think probably the last game we had here before the league obviously broke up a couple of years ago was Loughgall. Before this season started.
Oh yes, yeah.
3-0.
Yeah.
3-0, and that was a bit of a comedy show that day, and we've obviously got a comedy show on that night.
The transitions are just seamless, aren't they?
Always find a link, I learned that from the BBC's finest, Thomas Hablock. But I mean, we obviously don't want to be the matinee show. They're going to be one of the teams that is going to be challenging us, or we're going to be challenging them, whatever way you want to look at it, over the course of the season. Certainly no love lost between the two teams, probably the two clubs either, is important. Sort of, obviously we'll not have a podcast until after that one as well, so whatever happens in the Annagh game, important to sort of maybe right a few wrongs from that day, maybe.
you remember more than I do. Do I not get on now? I just remember getting beaten. We were poor. I don't remember any big animosity I
remember Tyrone McKenna ripping you apart up here for it as well.
Yeah. No, I remember us being poor. Like they're a good side. They are a good side. They seem to be
sent off that day, I think, for smacking somebody. I think.
Did he?
Yeah, he sent off just after half time.
So we'll rerun the footage and get the fire.
Better memory than I have. No, look, I think they beat us 3 times that year. Yeah, and they're all a good side, and we're going to need to be playing at our very best to beat them. That day, the next 2 games again, the last 2 of the first round of fixtures. I feel like they're 2 really tough games. So I expect all to be no different than this, and they're tough. But all I'm focused on at the minute is us. We need to get out of this rut, I feel like, because we're not. There's no point in hiding. We're not playing well, And the frustrating thing is we're set up to go and play well, but our application has been poor. I mean, I was sitting doing the stats for the game today, and the amount of times we give the ball away is shocking. And when an attack was on or a simple pass was on, and you have to realise, well, you'll praise the lads all you want. If they were that good, they wouldn't be here. If you can ping a ball 60 and 70 yards constantly, you wouldn't be playing for Newry with the greatest respect. So to what you had, it's one of those ones. If it's not in your locker, don't do it. This isn't any inspiration for my players, but the point
WhatsApp group is going mad just now.
The point being, look, keep it simple. Don't be starting to do things that you're not fit to do, or it's not within the framework of how we play. There's loads of variables in football. I'd love to watch someone getting the ball and dribble past 7 players and put it in the back of the net. That's grand. It's not like, I remember someone, Pennant, was saying about Benitez that he had to stay in a certain area, in an imaginary square or whatever. It's not like that, but at the same time, I think we just need to sort of get back to the basics. Watching people trying to ping balls all over the show and give them away isn't good viewing.
So basically, sort of something similar to if you don't really have a clue about football, you shouldn't be making bold predictions after the first 3 games of the season.
It's a bit harsh. I don't have a clue about football. It's a bit harsh. Do you know what? You need to be bold. I've got so much slagging for this as well. Like, even my ma says to me, "Who do you think you are?"
Okay. Shout out to Jilly, by the way, one of our biggest viewers apparently.
Yeah, biggest fans, watches every week. She's so proud of me. She thinks I'm doing well.
Yeah, fair play. Look, you stuck your neck out there. Stupid. It was a stupid comment.
Oh.
Nobody makes predictions like that.
No, but you know what? You need to be bold. It's all clickbait, isn't it?
Yeah, no. The worst thing, you weren't even drunk at the time.
No, one of the rare times.
No, you just didn't look drunk.
No, but just slightly off that, Darren. You tweeted about the fans last week at Ballyclare.
Yeah.
How amazing has the support been for the players on the pitch and for you, obviously, in the dugout as well? Because this year it just feels a bit different. It feels like there's a real support there and everybody's really getting behind the team. Yeah,
and that's what makes it maybe more annoying, when you don't win a game. And especially me being from Newry and knowing who's the fans and knowing, the effort they put in to go to a place like Ballyclare and go early and put flags up and sing right to the end. That's the annoying thing, that they've been super, really have. They always have been from we started back up, and it's obviously they've added a few extra agents.
I was wondering what time
he looked at me when he said that as well.
No, because somebody, I think, I seen a video of some guy with the microphone singing on the bus. I didn't recognise him, whatever, and somebody said to me, "We've added him in, we've sworn him in." I don't know I don't want to know what your initiation ceremony is for that.
Let's just say there's a WhatsApp group for the fans now, and it's just getting wilder and wilder. Every time somebody goes out to drink, they're just posting videos of them singing Newry songs in pubs.
No, look, fair play, and they've been brilliant, and it's good. It shows you the type of club we're at, between should be the fans, the people involved and the players. There's a good bunch of people, and anybody that joins the club, should have been Fra Brannan or Stevie Law, some of those boys, and they all say, look, it's a real good club and good bunch of people. And last night we were having a chat with them. It is a really good group of players, but just we have to remember the focus on the aim is to get back to the Premiership. That's above everything else.
So folks, that'll wrap us up for episode 4, part 2. Thanks very much, Darren, for coming along. Hopefully we'll get him on the next few weeks if he's still in the job, that is. He laughed the first time we did that. He didn't laugh this time. But you've heard him talking about the supporters. So if you're there, Annagh, on Friday night, make sure you make plenty of noise, because the players definitely value it, and we'll try and keep Ali's predictions to a minimum for the remainder of the season. But thanks very much, and stay tuned and make sure to like and subscribe for future episodes.
Are we cancelling the airplane?
Yeah.
Get the airplane going. You should get an image of that.
You're better to Photoshop something like that.
Yeah, well,
Yes.